We have Joshua Patera from the governor's office. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you, Madam Chair and members of the committee for the opportunity to speak before you. I also want to just say thank you to the chair of the committee and to President Ruggiero for moving so quickly on this bill. I know it's the end of session and we definitely appreciate that. My name is Josh Patera. I am an attorney in Governor Lunda's legal office and worked on drafting this bill. So I don't want to get too much into the history as you already alluded to it, Madam Chair, but the original CRMC enabling statute was passed in the early 70s and it contained 16 full members. 2 members were of the House of Representatives, 2 members were senators, and 4 were appointed by the Speaker of the House. In 2004, Rhode Island voters amended the Constitution, as you were saying, to pass the Separation of Powers Amendment, which prohibited the legislators from serving on the CRMC. That was confirmed by the Supreme Court in 2008 in an advisory opinion. Despite numerous attempts by the Senate to pass that in the House, no actual bill was passed to change the original language. And the real issue is that the CRMC statute sets the quorum number based on that 16 itself, which is tricky because there's only a certain number of non-members then. So I just want to go through what this bill does, just for clarity's sake. It says that there will be now 10 members of the board, that 9 of those members will be appointed by the governor with advice and consent of the Senate, and one member shall serve ex officio, which will be the director of DEM. It gets rid of outdated language. It makes sure that the board is staggered, and it changes the composition of the board from 4 appointed or elected officials to 6 appointed or elected officials. Now instead of 2 from a municipality of 25,000, fewer than 25,000, and 2 from a municipality greater than 25,000, there's now 3 from each. That is the board. And then it also clarifies that 5 out of these 6 members shall be from a coastal municipality, while 1 shall be from a non-coastal municipality. I think there was a little bit of ambiguity as to which members had to be from which municipalities. Some of the members, it specified coastal. One of them, the first, it just said municipality. So I think we tried to make that as clear as possible and ensure that a non-coastal voice is heard on the committee. And then in regards to the public members, we just stagger the terms for the future appointments. And then I just want to get into the additional, the new requirements regarding submission of appointments. This bill will provide additional transparency and accountability by requiring in the appointments themselves that the governor will spell out how her appointments satisfy the municipal elected appointed requirements for the board, which city they live in, and the population of that city and how it meets the criteria. I'm sorry?
Would you just repeat what you just said?
Sure. So on page 2 of the bill, line 21, this new provision will require the governor to clarify when she submits her appointments to the Senate how they are basically satisfying the provisions in section 1, subsection 1 here, going through city and all that. Then I just want to go to the advisory committees. So there's a lot of shells that are converted to mays here, and those are all in respect only to advisory members, non-voting members of the CRMC. We thought that was important to provide the CRMC with flexibility, and because, quite frankly, we thought that all of these mandatory requirements for advisory members was a hardship when they might not be even necessary or applicable for a given issue that's before the board. Finally, the bill amends the quorum number from 7 to 6, which is just a majority for the 10 members that will now be serving on the board. So this is really the cleanup bill to fix the quorum discrepancy and to strike outdated language that, as you alluded to, was stricken by the constitutional amendment, and also to ensure that that the quorum issue no longer exists and that appropriate communities are represented on the CRMC. I'm happy to take any questions.
Thank you very much. You have several questions.
Yes, I'd just like to bring some issues. If you weren't at the hearing yesterday on the reappointments of three members of the CRMC, I want to bring some issues that were very important that came out from those who testified yesterday. And if not the governor hearing these issues that were brought up yesterday, the governor's staff who advises him on appointments should hear this. So I'm going to assume that you're one of those people when I ask you or give you some of my thoughts based on yesterday.
Sure.
That it would be very important to the state of Rhode Island and the communities that are unrepresented that a member come from a minority majority community. That members come from communities that were qualified as environmental justice communities. That qualifications should be looked at as not only that they hold an elected office in a municipality, but they have some expertise of other issues that are critical to waterfront, such as population health, which is most important in the urban areas, or climate change, some kind of scientific knowledge of what climate change is and how it impacts the state of Rhode Island. To me, it would be interesting to have maybe qualifications. I don't want this kind of legislation held up because it's long overdue. Not necessarily have a rewrite of this. If it would hold it up, I wouldn't want to do that. If there's time to rewrite, I would encourage rewriting some of these ideas into it. But this is why I'm addressing the staff of the governor, because she can do that even if this kind of legislation doesn't pass, by paying attention to these very important issues that were brought up yesterday and have been brought up throughout the hearings, whether it's LNG or other issues. And that I think the CRMC and other bodies that are appointed that address these type of issues would go a long way to representing Rhode Islanders in a much improved way if they took those things under consideration. And so, with or without this legislation, if the message hasn't been loud enough or clear enough, after yesterday and several other hearings that have come up, they should be loud enough and clear enough that with or without this legislation, appointments should have those kind of considerations, and whether they're written in or not, we hope she understands and pays attention to those concerns.
Thank you, Senator. First of all, I just want to say that I was here for a brief period of time yesterday, and unfortunately I couldn't stay, but I didn't watch the rest of the hearing. So I do understand the concerns that were spoken about yesterday, And I think that leads me to a point that I should have made previously, or 2 points actually. One, this bill doesn't take effect until January 1, 2019, and that was intentional. We know how late in the session this is for advice and consent, and we want to make sure that we have that 6-month period to identify candidates so that when January 2019 rolls around, that we can put candidates through the full advice and consent process. I think that's an important aspect of this bill. And I also want to add that, Save the Bay was a huge help in working with us to draft these changes to the bill. And I wanted to thank them for their help with that. And I hear what you're saying, Senator, and I don't know what the composition of the board would be going forward, but I would imagine that all those factors and concerns that we heard yesterday will be taken into consideration.
Senator Paul.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I have a question. How does what is outlined in the bill differ from the current makeup of the CRMC?
So what's outlined in the bill would add 2 new members who have to be appointed or elected officials within a municipality. Currently, there's only a requirement for 4 individuals to be appointed or elected.
But are there 6 appointed officials on the current CRMC?
Yeah.
And also, I just have one comment to make more than a question, in that the change that's different here, we're going from 16 members to 10 members. In the past, I believe the governor could appoint half of those members, is that correct? So that she could do 8. The rest were, I know it was outdated language, but she could only do half of the membership. Is that correct?
This prior statute called for 7 appointments to the board that were appointed by the governor with advice and consent of the Senate, and one of those appointments was an ex officio the DEM director.
So there is a change in this bill going forward from there being a percentage of the membership to the governor now having the full appointment of all the members, because the DEM director is a different appointment, but they're still appointed by the governor. So.
Well, it's
Am I
a change.
understanding that?
So sorry.
Am I understanding that correctly?
To an extent, I would push back that this is a change in the sense that the constitutional amendments in 2004 were self-executing and they initiated the change themselves.